Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. Thank you for your support on Patreon, shower lurker Jacob Bates. Sounds a bit weird. It's a Psycho reference with Norman Bates. Brock Lesnar's Money in the Bank cash-in is announced for this episode of Raw. Brock Lesnar's Money in the Bank cash-in doesn't happen on this episode of Raw. But it's okay because pull up your pants and do the muscle man dance. And which NXT stars might be getting called up to the main roster soon. Click the timestamps in the video description below to go straight to any of those stories. I'm Ollie Davis. Give us a subscribe, press the thumbs up button, and answer our question of the day in the comments. Will Brock Lesnar win the Universal title this Friday? Because I'll be replying to people from out of nowhere. And click the eye above my head to give your rating of the show, where you can choose from Rawsome, Core, Average, Poor, and Rawful, as I review the Super Showdown go-home episode of Monday Night Raw. A big part of this episode was how WWE announced in advance that Brock Lesnar would finally be cashing in his Money in the Bank boombox on Raw. I'm sure they'll totally deliver on that, because Stephanie McMahon is sick of him disrespecting the briefcase. A briefcase whose gimmick has historically been based around not telling people when they're going to cash in. It makes so little sense, even Raw commentator Corey Graves is confused. Corey Graves to AEW confirmed. And I'm pretty sure Stephanie was a heel the last time we saw her. And who attacked Sami Zayn at Money in the Bank? So Brock cashing in, potentially wrestling his first WWE TV match in over 15 years, was their expectation set for this episode. Not us getting carried away with fantasy booking, something WWE directly promised its fans. Keep that in mind. The actual show kicked off with SmackDown star Roman Reigns, but let's be honest, Raw star Roman Reigns, where he was immediately interrupted by his Super Showdown opponent, SmackDown star Shane McMahon. But let's be honest, Raw star The Omnishane. A six-man tag quickly got underway, where Reigns teamed with his real-life cousins, the Usos, to take on their fierce, back-shaving, cornhole-playing rivals, The Revival, featuring Drew McIntyre. WWE are very good at six-man tags, and this match got suitably frantic near the end, with Drew eventually winning. Shane then speared Roman for good measure. I'm very much not into the Shane versus Roman feud, though, which is pulling significant TV time on Raw and SmackDown
into the Omnishane's mid-card vortex.
And now they're obviously setting up Reigns versus McIntyre post-Showdown, which isn't even remotely exciting because they're on separate brands. We've already seen that match. It had the decisive finish of Roman winning clean, and most importantly, it was super boring. Lars Sullivan continued to beat up ethnic minorities next, brawling with the Lucha House Party ahead of their match at Super Showdown. Becky Lynch came out to promise when she gets her hand on Lacey Evans, she'll knock her silly. For Lacey Evans to then come out and stand just a few feet across from her in the ring. She's right there, Becky. You can beat her up if you're that angry. This turned into a terrible heel versus heel match between Evans and Charlotte, which started bad with a botched punch and then got worse from there. Thankfully, Becky eventually caused the DQ to end it after about 5 minutes. I still can't wait for the women's title match at this Friday's Super Showdown. Yeah. We definitely won't be seeing the women's right in that country. Rey Mysterio then came out for a segment that was advertised for last week and then dropped without explanation. Yeah, we're not getting that Lesnar cash in, are we? Where he revealed he's going to do the right thing and relinquish his US title to Samoa Joe because of his shoulder injury, not because he unfairly beat Joe at Money in the Bank. Joe then rather justifiably attacked Rey for being a dick. Braun Strowman beat Bobby Lashley in an arm wrestling contest to hype their Super Showdown match because wrestling! The awkward Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss character inconsistent friendship storyline continued next, where Bliss was in Nikki's corner for her match against Peyton Royce. At least Alexa's caffeine addiction is consistent when a stagehand gave her a coffee halfway through the match for Peyton to kick it out of her hand and Billie Kay to push her in the spilled liquid, ruining her white jeans. Because what's more shallow than building women's feuds around who's friends with who? Build them around stains on clothes. Nikki won off the distraction. Baron Corbin answered Seth's calling out of Lesnar next, leading to a brawl between the two, where Corbin laid Rollins out after Brock's music caused the distraction. Then out came Lesnar for the big selling point of the show, why many viewers would have tuned in and stuck around through the first 2 hours to just see Brock beat up Rollins with a chair and reveal he's actually going to cash in on Friday. Of course, it was a ruse. You got us, WWE. Way to sell the Saudi Arabia pay-per-view that everyone's annoyed about already. Baiting and switching 3 weeks in a row with Lesnar and then using it to sell your blood money pay-per-view is a very off-putting carny tactic. There's only so many times you can cheat viewers with fake-out angles before they lose any trust in you as a company. But in truth, that happened long before now, so maybe shame on us. And why does Brock want to wait until then instead of just winning the title now? It's not even consistent with his character of wanting to work the fewest dates possible. Don't expect that motivation to ever be explained either, because we still don't know who took out Sami Zayn at Money in the Bank. They did a big stretcher angle for Seth, with his real-life girlfriend Becky Lynch even getting in the ambulance for realism, inverted commas. Thankfully, this was followed up by possibly Bray Wyatt's best Firefly Funhouse promo yet, a super serious episode about exercise. Bray introduced a new puppet friend, Huskus the Pig Boy, an amazing play on his first fuller-figure character, Husky Harris, continuing each puppet being an element of Bray's damaged psyche, whom a puppet Vince McMahon threatened to fire for not being in shape. That was brilliant enough as it was, but then Bray and his cast of puppets launched into a Tim and Eric-style green screen music video of them all doing the Muscle Man dance workout. The key to getting your character over, it seems, is to pre-record all your stuff in advance so McMahon can't tinker with them. Triple H and Randy Orton had their first non-video package build for their Super Showdown match and based it all around the size of Hunter's testicles. If only other roster members were trusted to get over without scripted promos. Ricochet then took on Cesaro for the third time in the last few weeks in a very good TV match, with their spots riffing off their previous matches. Ricochet rolled up Cesaro for the win, leading Cesaro to beat him up afterwards, get a table from under the ring, to find 24/7 champion R-Truth hiding on it. This was pretty funny, with the usual undercard scramble chasing Truth out the arena to follow. The better finish, however, would have been for the lights to cut out and Undertaker to win the belt. Instead, he came out to cut a promo on his Super Showdown opponent, Goldberg, which was the usual Taker stuff of death and souls, but no rest in peace catchphrase, because he'd spent too long walking to the ring and Raw had run out of time. The third hour of this show was pretty good, even if they did completely drop its gritty theme. Unfortunately, overall, the Lesnar storyline not making sense and cheating fans one too many times made this a deeply frustrating watch. This week's Raw is the worst possible score. Bore. This week's Raw is the worst possible score. Bore. And now over to Luke with the news.
Great review, Ollie. Glad you got to get your final thoughts in before the show ended. Following on from their excellent TakeOver 25 show, which you can watch mine and Laurie's review of on Wrestle Ramble, NXT will be getting ready for their next set of TV tapings to build towards their next big show, TakeOver Toronto. As well as advertising the re-debut of Punishment Martinez, who has been renamed Damian Priest, we should see more re-debuts on the show along with their new names. It's been reported that Adrian Gild will now go under the name Artur Raus, Jesse Elban will now go by Jesse Kamea, and Luke Menzies will now be called Ridge Holland, which is also the name of an excellent wallet. The bigger changes, however, come first for former Impact Wrestling X Division champion Trevor Lee, who has changed his name to Cameron Grimes, a reference to his hometown of Cameron in North Carolina. And perhaps most upsettingly, the most excellent Eric Bugenhagen has had his most excellent name changed to something way more heinous. Rick Boogs.
Is most non-heinous.
Someone looking to get in on the NXT action is former WWE Women's Tag Team Champion Sasha Banks, who hasn't been seen on WWE TV since she lost the titles at WrestleMania to the Iconics. It was actually revealed late last week that Tyler Breeze had moved from the main roster back to NXT, and it looks like Banks could be trying to get on that train as well. NXT UK's Piper Niven, otherwise known as Viper, recently appeared at an ICW show to challenge NXT UK Women's Champion Toni Storm to a title match at the promotion Shugs Who's Party 6. ICW themselves tweeted about the announcement asking if Storm will accept the challenge, which Sasha Banks replied to asking if she could accept instead. And it was reported over the weekend that Sasha Banks had a meeting with Vince McMahon about her future with the company, which reportedly went well, with Banks expected to return to a WWE ring by the summer. Or perhaps she could stop by NXT UK for a series of matches with Viper and Toni Storm first. Someone who could be moving from NXT to the main roster, however, is the King of Bros and reader of the WrestleTalk magazine, Matt Riddle. It really is an excellent magazine. Riddle actually teased himself for a Raw debut this week, or debut if you're talking in Riddleese, but of course that didn't happen. However, PW Insider are reporting that Riddle is set to be part of the huge 50-man Battle Royal at Super Showdown this coming Friday when WWE heads to Country Redacted. According to PW Insider, Riddle's name was brought up as recently as this past weekend for a spot in the Battle Royal. Also been reported that the King of Bros could be one of several NXT names to make the trip over for Super Showdown to compete in the match. And this was to be expected as NXT stars like Roderick Strong, Babatunde, Dan Mather and Tucker Knight entered the Greatest Royal Rumble last year. And now Dave Meltzer is reporting that WWE have plans in mind to also bring up NXT champion Adam Cole and NXT Women's Champion Shayna Baszler to the main roster in the near future. According to Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, WWE are particularly high on Baszler, as she is supposed to be geared up for a main roster call-up very soon. When these call-ups will happen is unknown, but the speculation is they'll be after SummerSlam, which will allow both Cole and Baszler to lose their titles. There's also no word on whether Adam Cole's call-up will include the rest of the Undisputed Era, or whether he'll be called up as a single star. Thanks for watching, and a special thank you to our Patreon pledge hammers, some of which you can see scrolling their way into my stomach. Click the video over there to see my breakdown of the Godzilla King of the Monster Easter eggs for Screenstalker, and watch El Fakador and housemate Simon go through all the wrestling internet news with Colt Cabana on Screen Grapple by clicking the other video. I've been Luke Owen, and that were wrestling.